Let me just be brief, because you've got a lot of speakers and a lot of work to get through today. The purpose of meetings like this, and they're happening right the way across the country and right the way across London this weekend, is to talk about where we go from here. And I think it's important that we leave this meeting with a clear understanding of what our roles and responsibilities are as individuals and as members of different organisations. Because this could be not just a blip in terms of the history of capitalism. This could be a period where we can achieve what we've desired for generations, systemic change in the economic and social and political arrangements of this country and maybe Europe. So we need to be serious about the assessment of where we're at, the resources that we have, and the first and second steps that we need to take in this coming period. Obviously, in terms of the economy, we know just how bad it is with 2.5 million unemployed, 1 million young people unemployed. And what's extraordinary, though, is that you see in all its gory details the bewilderment of those people who are supposed to be managing our economy. Mervyn King, the chair of the Bank of England, now has said that he expects stagnation at least until 2012. Well, he's been wrong for the last 5 years, so I suppose he's wrong this time as well, because even the most conservative economic forecasters are looking at potentially stagnation for a lost decade. And you even have Barroso now saying that there is systematic and fundamental crisis within the Eurozone itself. And the only thing that they can come up with is a series of bailouts, bank haircuts, back packages that they're inflicting, but all of it is summed up basically in austerity measures which are nothing more than class warfare. And if you have class warfare, the response to class warfare is class struggle. It's the only way. It's the only way for us now. So we need to now assess the resources that we've got. And we need to be brutally honest as well. Because what's happening at the moment, there's some fantastic initiatives that are going on. Spontaneous direct action, which is having its effect, raising issues on the agenda, bringing people into struggle that we've not engaged with before. But that spontaneous direct action will peter out unless it's linked to the organised working class. And that's why this coming period is absolutely critical. Because what we need to do now is link the direct action with the industrial action. And as a result of that, we'll engage in political action. In terms of the direct action, the first steps are straightforward, aren't they? Wherever there's an occupation, we automatically support it. And when those bailiffs come, we go into non-violent resistance in support of those occupations. And that's why we're calling, if the bailiffs come for St. Paul's or Finsbury Square, we know there is, from St. Paul's, there's committed Christians who want to form a ring of prayer around them. But what we want to do is surround them with a ring of working class solidarity. Every organisation that's meant to be represented in our class should be represented there. And I welcome the occupation yesterday of the UBS Bank. What a fantastic initiative and breakthrough that is. Turning it into a bank, not of money, but of ideas of how we can change the system itself. But secondly, of course, what we've got to do is build for November the 30th. The biggest industrial action that we've had for generations. And it is building. And it's building because people are bloody angry. They know they're being stolen from by this government itself. And people, again, who've never taken industrial action before, have drawn a line in the sand and said, this is it, we're coming out. That's important. But it can't be a one-off, can it? We've got to be planning and preparing now for industrial action in the new year, on the same scale but a bigger scale, bringing others out across the country who are also being struggled. But there's another challenge as well. There's another challenge as well. I welcome the direct action that has been taken by different groups. People with disabilities have been out there now through the Black Triangle, through the DPAC, occupying Atos offices when there have been threats to their benefits and people taking off benefits. This is a movement that's emerged on the hardest hit demonstrations. Literally tens of thousands of people coming out for the first time again in struggle. It's the same with Barak and others, now mobilising the black and ethnic minorities community again with a resilience. And of course, highlighting the continuing injustices and the murder that took place in Tottenham during August that we saw. the justifiable anger that turned out onto the streets themselves. So new groups are coming into activity and we need to be alongside them, but link them now to the sustained and organising force of the labour and trade union movement. And that's why on November the 30th, I hope it isn't just a few picket lines, a few demonstrations. I hope we march down to St Paul's and support them in the blockade of the city that's happening that day. They're hoping to bring the city to a halt. I think we should use organised labour to help them bring the city to a halt on November the 30th. And then when it comes to the new year, let me say this, and union by union, we've had a number of union general secretaries here today supporting us in solidarity, Mark Sawatka and others, Bob Crow and others, that we've had in meetings over the last few months, class fighters of the first order. But let's say to those others, if you try and sell us out, we will come for you. It's time now to remove General Secretaries who are betraying this movement. We can no longer allow them to tell the people they represent us. Because there'll be no settlement in this dispute until we've won. Because it isn't just about pensions. It's about every cut. It's about every family that's made homeless. It's about every squatter that they criminalise. It's about us all that we're fighting in this campaign. But finally, let me just say this. This will be futile if it's just an exercise of opposition, if it's an exercise just in defence. We've got to do now what's happening on many of the organisational fronts that's happening in terms of the demonstrations, the occupations. Every time we're on a picket line, every time we're in an occupation, every time we're in a demonstration, we've now got to be talking about the society that we want to create, the alternative society, one based on democracy, equality, redistribution of wealth and power, and one, yes, that isn't nationalist but European and global. Because, you know, in the 30s what they did, when big business were in trouble, they got the fascists to take over. Big business is in trouble now, and beyond irony that what they're installing in government after government are bankers who caused the crisis in the first place. This is a very European coup that's going on before our eyes, an undermining of democracy and installing technocrats who will use the iron heel just as any other reactionary government. So what we've got to do now is globalise and internationalise our movement, support every form of direct action across the world, link our industrial action, coordinate it not just in one country but in many countries and across Europe. And yes, it is about changing this regime, bringing governments down. It is about envisioning that new society that we want. And we need just three things. One is commitment. Two is direction, where we're going. And three is solidarity. Courage and solidarity, and we can win. It's the hope for generations, and we've got to deliver it in this one, solidarity.